Well, in healthy communication, you really want to be close to someone. You're inviting closeness. So, and safety, and that's where communication can actually get across. And so some people talk to keep people away, and of course that's not going to come across very well. But if you can join around similarities with someone first, that opens the boundaries to communication. People listen more and feel safer when they feel their similarities. So if your partner, for instance, is telling you something, and even if inside you're really disagreeing with everything they're saying, you try to find something that you can agree with and start with that. And that almost relaxes their nervous system to hear what you have to say next. And then you can introduce a bit of difference, but making sure that that person can tolerate the difference. And same with you, notice what it's like for you to have the difference and kind of find the places to join so that you can stay on the same page as you're communicating. You also want to, when you're trying to communicate, start with the feelings. And it's much easier for other people to hear feelings and see vulnerability than it is to hear facts or false facts, things that you think are true. And so if you say, you did this, then of course they're going to say, no, I didn't. But if you said, I felt hurt when I thought that this is what happened, or I'm just feeling really hurt right now, and the way you did that, I perceived it as this, then they can explain, but also, more importantly, hear the feelings. They can't argue. No one can say, no, you don't feel sad. And so if you really focus on feelings and connecting around those, it's going to be more productive than trying to talk about, no, this is the way it is, because people are going to always perceive things differently. Well, being really open and vulnerable it's a very fast way to make deeper connections and relationships. And owning your own stuff, like knowing what your triggers are and being able to voice them in the way that takes responsibility, is going to invite closeness with people and allow people to tolerate your weaknesses. And in group therapy, I've got, people will say, you really learn how to talk about what's going on inside you in a way that doesn't push people away. And it could be, whoa, when you said that, I wanted to kill you. It could be a really strong thing, but it's like, I'm so curious about that reaction. I thought it might have been your tone, or maybe it was the fact that it reminded me of my dad, but inside I really had this reaction. You're owning it, but it's actually, it doesn't really push people away as long as you're saying, gosh, I don't know what this is, but I'm curious about it. And people can be curious with you, and then you're joining around curiosity instead of like, oh, now now we got to battle this out. Well, the thing about fighting productively is you want to be on the same team. So if you can, almost like writing the problem on and taping it to the wall, and then you're standing together looking at it. So it's like, it's us against this problem. Like, how are we going to put our heads together to look at this? And talking about feelings instead of arguing about facts, staying attuned to how the other person's feeling. So it's really important when you're fighting with someone to not go crazy at once. And my parents use that term. They're both psychologists here. We use it very lovingly about not going crazy. But we all have our crazy issues and our ways that we get triggered. And the problem is that one person's craziness triggers the other person. So, and when both people are crazy, then nothing productive is going to happen. So you want, if your partner comes to you crazy, you want to quickly recognize it and notice, oh, they're not in a space for us to have anything productive happen. I'll step out of my partner role and just nurture them and get them back online before we can really have a communication. Because if you take them seriously as your partner in that moment, you're going to get sucked into whatever craziness they're saying, and it's going to trigger you, and then you're off to the races, and then it's not going to go well from there. So at that point, you need to take a break if both of you are going crazy at once. But really, one person at a time, and the other person's job is to regulate and care for the other person, and so that once they are feeling better, then you can come back to the subject matter. Sometimes this is kind of an evolving thing in argument. So someone's sounding really crazy and the other person can back off for a second, but then they say one little thing that triggers you and you just say a little snap back. And they need to be, both people need to be fluid at recognizing, oh, they just switched into being the more crazy one. Like, I'm gonna have to step out of this and care for them, because otherwise nothing productive is gonna happen if both people are just indulging and going into their issues at the same time. So it's kind of taking turns. And also partners need to regulate each other's nervous systems. So we take responsibility to learn what triggers our partners and how to put them back together. And so you're going to fight more effectively if you know what's going to soothe your partner and notice when they get dysregulated, and then give them the medicine to bring them back to the person that you love that can communicate with you. I don't think it's possible to eradicate fighting from the relationship, but I guess fighting can really look like a loving conversation. And if you slow it down and do it with care and respect the other person, then fighting doesn't have to be acting out. You want to be able to talk about your feelings without acting them out, just like, I want to throw the Kleenex box at you right now, but you're not going to pick it up and throw it at the person. So as long as there's sort of space in the relationship to talk about what's happening inside of you, then fighting, it's just like any other conversation. It can be kind of fun and enlivening, but it doesn't hurt the relationship and hurt your heart.